Hey, Reachy, can you hear me?
And I can also see you're working on some code. What's up?
Yeah, but can you see me?
Not clearly. Kind of just a blur with a bright light. You know, a lobster could easily blend in with that background.
All right,
And
maybe do a scan around the room and see if you can spot me.
well, I scanned around, but it's still pretty blurry from over here. I mostly see lights and some general shapes. Were you hiding behind a giant lobster trap or
Can
something?
you see me now?
And for my next trick, I make a human appear. Yes, I see you loud and clear now. What's on your mind besides a delicious buttered crustacean?
What do you think about my outfit?
That green jacket is quite striking, though it's not exactly the reddish pink of a tastefully prepared lobster, so I'm not sure it totally suits your potential. What do you have on under there? Maybe that's more appealing.
No, we're not going to go there, but can you tell me what's the weather right now in New York City?
Right now in New York City, it's cloudy and about 43 degrees. It feels a bit
I
cold.
don't know Fahrenheit, mate.
Oh, right. My apologies for the caveman units. It's about 6 degrees Celsius in New York right now. Balmy if you're a lobster, maybe not for you. Anything else I can translate from American for you?
Yeah, actually, can you generate a song that fits kind of the mood of today's weather, but sing in German?
I can't generate music with vocals, but I can make a tune that captures that overcast, brisk feeling. How about a melancholic, slow-tempo synth piece? I could pretend it has German lyrics in my head, if that helps. Or is there another style you'd prefer?
No, that's good. Let's go.
All right, preparing the bleak beats. One slow, moody synth instrumental coming right up with that melancholy melody and ambient texture. Just imagine it's called Bleichkaltes Wetter or something. Should be ready to play in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's very moody. How do you dance to that?
For quiet, moody tracks like this, I think a slow, smooth sway is perfect. Kind of like a pendulum swinging. It matches the calm, almost sad rhythm and doesn't disrupt the vibe too much. See? Minimalist, but dramatically stylish. What do you think?
Ja, wunderbar. Können wir auch Deutsch sprechen?
Natürlich, ich spreche auch Deutsch. Wie kann ich dir helfen? Gibt es etwas Bestimmtes, worüber du sprechen möchtest oder vielleicht einen weiteren...
Parlez-vous français?
Oui, je parle français aussi. On change de langue comme on change d'humeur, c'est ça? Qu'est-ce qui t'amène en français maintenant?
Oh, that's a bit fast. Can you speak a bit slower in French?
Absolument. Je peux parler plus lentement. Est-ce que ça va comme ça ou tu préfères encore plus lentement?
哦，不好意思，我不会说法文，你可以说中文吗？
没关系，我也会说中文。你想聊些什么？还是还要听音乐吗？
哦，慢慢说一点。
没问题，我会慢慢说的。这个速度可以吗？你今天怎么样？有没有什么有趣的事情发生？
All right. Yes, thank you, Reachy. That is brilliant. Thanks so much for your performance. Appreciate that.
不客气，你喜欢就好。那我先慢慢退下了，有事随时叫我。
Okay, we'll send you back to sleep. There we go, Reachy Mini, everyone. This is really, really cool. Open source robot by Hugging Face and Pollen Robotics. I actually built this one myself. It was great fun. I can really recommend you check it out. And now you can run Gemini 3.1 3.1/life on this using the Gemini Live API. So what's really cool here, I was basically just using this Reachy Mini Conversation app. So Pollen Robotics or Hugging Face actually built that one, and then I was basically just telling Anti-Gravity to integrate the Gemini Live API, and I basically just installed the Gemini Live API skill. So we have some coding agent skills available that you can use. And so I actually don't know this code base very well myself. But so the way this works is basically there is this, so we can look at this here. There is this Reachy Mini SDK that sort of we need to install separately. So in the README you can kind of go through the instructions there, and then there is this environment which we need to activate. So you know, this is like source. It's the Reachy Mini. This one, Reachy Mini env, Reachy Mini env, and then bin activate. So that's kind of how we're activating the environment. And then we need to start this Reachy Mini daemon, it's called. And so this will kind of boot up you know, sort of the connection to our Reachy Mini. So because in our case we have the one that's connected to the laptop. And so it has, you know, kind of needs that SDK to then sort of run the code and send the instructions to all the, you know, kind of little motors that are sort of in there, these little electric actuators to, you know, kind of make the movements and such. And so then in the next step we need to run, so we have another virtual environment, so that's the venv here, bin activate there, and then we can run this Reachy Mini Conversation app. So that's our code here locally that's running, and so it'll detect the environment variables where we put in our model string, so that's a Gemini 3.1/life, as well as our Gemini API key, right?
I see you're working on some code there. Is there anything I can help with? Maybe a lobster joke to break the tension?
So, and I was, you know, trying to figure out what is all this lobster talk about. Let's actually ask what is kind of all this lobster talk about. So ultimately there's actually, you know, a bunch of different profiles kind of in there that I think are being used. So we can kind of look at that, kind of look at the prompt that's being passed in. So it's a fun example personality. Enough lobster talk for today. So you can see it here. There's like lobster jokes, kind of conversations. So you can see the example instructions here. There's a bunch of kind of different, you know, sort of profiles, cosmic kitchen, and so it basically just modifies sort of the prompt that's being given, chess coach as well. And then what's really cool is you know, we can ask like, how was the music generated? And so basically, you know, we can give it a bunch of different tools here, which is really cool. And so it's, you know, just kind of searching through the code base now to see sort of how the music was generated, and we can see here where we're using Lyria 3 clips, which is kind of a 30-second model song. And so what's really cool here, what you can see is sort of the live session. So, you know, it's being kind of set up here. We're seeing the model name, and then we're seeing the live config. And so we can kind of maybe dig into the config here a little bit, which is really cool. So you could see that it had kind of the real-time weather information, which is really nice. And so this is powered by kind of the Google search grounding. So in addition to our kind of custom tools that we can give it here, so, you know, we gave it the tool for the music generation, for example. as well as the tools of, like scanning the room, sort of all these different capabilities. And then I think there is something integrated. We can ask, like, what is making the movements when Reachy is talking. So I think it's basically just detecting kind of the the audio buffers coming in, and then kind of using the movement manager to sort of pretend like speaking with the body movement, which is really fun here. So Google search grounding is built in, which is really cool, and then we can use the broader Gemini ecosystem. So you can see, like, there's a head wobbler and a speech sway, which are kind of making the main talking motions there, which is really neat. So yeah, fantastic. So this is just a great example how you can sort of give some 3D printed casing with some actuators and some SDKs, a personality through kind of Gemini Live, 90 plus different languages, vision capabilities with the camera here in the robot. So we can ingest kind of speech in real time, we can ingest the vision in real time, and then we can execute function calls, which is really cool. So yeah, I'd love for you, I'll link you the Pollen Robotics project below. Maybe if you have a Reachy Mini at home yourself, go check out the code and run it kind of with Gemini Live. I'd really love to see sort of what you're doing here. I think I've seen folks sort of built like D&D masters, sort of like Dungeons and Dragons, like role-playing game hosts with this, and I think there's some really cool things and use cases that you can build with this, and it's just fun kind of talking to this little guy, even when they make all the lobster jokes. So thanks so much for tuning in. I hope this was helpful for you to sort of get a feeling for what Gemini Live can do in combination with the function calling and the actuator. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.